Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Copywriting as you are designing a website can be one of the hardest parts of the project. You can waste weeks in a project timeline with a client because of copy. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 core aspects that you can use to help make sure that this does not happen in your projects ever again. You'll be able to launch your client site successfully and at the same time, have a site that you are really proud of and the copy is beautiful. Let's get into it. So on my channel and in this community, and if you haven't been a part of this community yet, you should join because we have an amazing group of people. I get this question a lot. How do you create content? How do you prepare content for a website, especially for a brand new website? This question just comes up so much. So let's begin. Number 1, define the goal of the website as a whole. Start with a clear reason of why you are building the site, and that should tie to the main call to action. So for example, if it's booking a consultation, or if it's buying a product, or if it is to contact us, or if it is to visit a location. The entire website should be geared around that goal. The first question I ask clients before they even start writing content is, what is the goal of the website? The clearer the goal, the clearer the content. The more confusing the goal, if you have 4 or 5 priorities, there's that quote, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. If the website has more than 3 priorities, well, the content is going to reflect that. So define the goal as much as possible. And that goal should reflect in the call to action. A long time ago, websites used to be informational. Now they're directional. Everything should point people in a clear direction. And this is so powerful when it comes to creating content, because if you know the final goal, every single section on the website has a purpose and it all ties to that goal. Whether you're writing an about section, whether you're doing FAQ, everything will tie to that call to action. But let's say you have a clear goal, but you are still struggling to come up with content. Number 2 is going to be really helpful. So you've done step 1, you've defined the goal of the website, but you're still struggling to write each section. Now, what I want you to do is draft content quickly. Whether you're doing it or the client is doing it, in either case, you want to set a timer and work quickly. If you've ever heard an author talk about writing a book, they will always say the first draft is a really bad draft. They always talk about a bad first draft. And that's what you want to do. You want to create a bad first draft. And the way you do that is just by getting words on the paper. And this is the reality. The first draft is always going to suck, but that doesn't matter because it's the first draft. So a good rule of thumb is if you're going to create any section, give yourself anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. In most cases, 10 minutes is enough. Now, if you're writing 2 paragraphs for your about, that might take a little bit more time, but overall, 10 minutes to create a section, you're really only writing 2 to 3 sentences. Or if you're creating 3 little icons, you're writing 1 to 2 sentences per icon. And so in those cases, 10 to 15 minutes is more than enough. Just get your ideas out on paper. One thing to be aware about with this tip is just be aware of trying to sound cool. If you're trying to sound sophisticated and cool and professional out the gate, you're gonna waste a lot of time. Professional copywriters literally are professionals because they've taken so much time to get good at writing. If this is your first time or you're just beginning on this process, or you're the designer working to bring this to life, don't try to sound cool out the gate. You'll sound cool over time. Just start by getting words on the paper. Also, use this tip. Write with caveman language. What I mean is, I heard this from Donald Miller, but you want to write as if you're talking to a caveman. Simple terms, be super clear. Don't say all these like big sophisticated sentences. We've been doing this in the enterprise for 40 years. What have you been doing? We have no idea. Nobody cares either. That doesn't matter. What are you really doing? Be clear about it. This provides this. This does that. We do this and we are really good at that in this city. The clearer you are, the better. Now, this is another component of this. You want to find out if you are the type of person or your client, whoever you're working with, whoever's writing the content, that can look at a blank piece of paper and get 100 ideas on it, or they need 100 ideas first before they start making edits and adjustments. I'm the type of person who could look at a blank piece of paper and get a lot of ideas out. Some people, when they look at a blank piece of paper, they literally will just stare at it for months and not get anything out. So figure out who is who and how that works, and you want to try to not let that get in the way. Figure that out, and if you're the type of person who could look at a blank piece of paper and get ideas out, well, you might want to push start or jumpstart the process with the client to give them ideas of what it can look like, what sections can look like, and paint the vision for them. Or you can have them do that, whatever that looks like. So there may be some back and forth with the client. You can definitely use lorem ipsum placeholder text to visualize, to show them what it will look like. And that can be a great starting point as well. But just try to figure that out, because that wastes so much time if the client is just staring at a blank piece of paper. But if you show them what the sections can look like, well, then they can start to develop ideas and concepts around that. Now, before I get to step 3, if you find this content valuable, check the link down below in the description. We have an email series on content creation that is 10 times deeper than this, that is going to help you launch and get sites up quickly so you never have to waste time again. Now, for part 3, you have a clear goal of where all the content's going. So you have a clear direction. You've drafted sections quickly, and now you're getting a feel for the website. It's really coming to life. This part is really going to take you to the next level. Now, what I want you to really consider at this part is defining everything by the success for the customer, the client, the user. The way we do this is in 3 pieces. Number 1, talk about the success bucket. So for example, if you're a therapist and you're talking about your services, we do this, we can do that, we can do that. Talk about the success bucket, which would be have healthier relationships, be more at peace with yourself, those types of things, and really painting those pictures are really helpful for the content, because you don't want to just talk about this is what we do. You want to talk about this is who you're going to be at the end of using or engaging with our service or our product. Number 2, answer all important questions. Now, the way you do this is by really considering, if you were the customer, what are the questions you're asking? For example, if I have a software product that I'm checking out, a lot of the questions that come up are, does it do this specific feature? What is the pricing? Can I cancel any time? Things like that. Does it work with my other apps? Does it have integrations? Things like that. Those are the types of questions that are coming up if I'm looking at a software product. What are the questions that are coming up if someone is searching for your product or service on your website? So they want to book your service. What are the questions they're thinking about? Maybe it's pricing, maybe it's timeline, maybe it is the process. Step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is that. Clarifying all of that for the client really helps. It really helps in a huge way, because it allows the client to know before they book what they're getting into. People don't like messaging companies to find out that the company is overpriced for them. They don't want to feel that they can't afford something. They want to know that if they engage with something, that it's possible. And so they're looking to answer a lot of different questions. Try to be that customer for yourself and figure out what those questions are and make sure your website answers them. Now, number 3, try to find connecting points. Connecting points are things that help the client get connected to the business. For example, I remember when I first started doing website design, one of the things that people actually really liked about my service was not the service itself, but the fact that I did work on the side to help orphans in the developing world. People love that. It made me human. I wasn't just another business that they were pouring money into. They felt like they were connecting with a human. They liked the fact that I did this type of orphan care work, and they liked the fact that I was able to just present myself in that way as a human. So here are a few connecting points. Let's say you go to my website and I'm offering website design services and you're looking for a website. Well, if at first it says Squarespace website designer, it doesn't just say website designer, it says Squarespace website designer, and that's what I'm looking for, that's a connecting point. Then I say the type of clients I work with are therapists. I have a list of them, but one of them are therapists, and you're a therapist, that's another connecting point. Then if I say I help you book more consultations and that's what they're looking to do with their website, that's another connecting point. If I say that I can get the project done in less than 2 months and they're looking to launch in less than 2 months, that's another connecting point. Anything I talk about in those specific pieces, there's a quote that says something like, people will subconsciously believe that you have the answer to a problem if you are better at clarifying it than what they've ever clarified it before as. Let me say that in a different way. If you could define the problem better than they can, well, you're in a really good position, because often when someone defines the problem better than I even understand it, I believe they have the solution. So to bring this all together, all of the content should highlight the success bucket. It should answer all important questions. And in the process of answering important questions, the more connecting points you have, the better. Now, with this 3-step process, you are going to save weeks in your workflow working with a client. Now, if you need inspiration for content, as a developer, you should have some resources ready. One of the resources I highly recommend is a website called Landbook. Check out Landbook. All of their sites are the top in design, but also the copy is really good. And you could pull inspiration from a lot of these websites. So the higher your level of inspiration, the more inspiration you're able to pull from, the better you are at crafting the actual content. Don't just try to start with a blank slate. Often look at other sites, get a feel for other sites, especially in the same industry or field, and you are going to win. And if the client is developing the content, make sure they have inspiration or point them in the direction to find inspiration. Now, I want to make one mention of graphic design. How do you add graphics or visuals or photos to this process? That is a whole nother story. And so I'll probably make another video in the end cards or in the link in the description for you. So make sure you check that out, because that'll help you walk through how to design graphics, how to think about photography to match the content. If you got value from today's video, hit the like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm some fancy information, but it tells me that you got value from this content. And if you want more content like this, consider subscribing. We publish new videos every single week, so you could be a better designer, make more money, and have a happier life. With that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.